Hi,
Happy
Deb. Ooh, I think your sound cut out too. Nice try. Even Zoom's against you. Even Zoom doesn't want to hear someone say Happy Tuesday.
I gave you a second.
Yeah, it really did cut out. So
You didn't jump in fast enough this time.
I know
So,
Zoom had my back. It's like we're not gonna let this happen.
okay. Well, our guest is here, so let me introduce her.
Okay, please. Yeah.
um, so yes, Chrystal, this is how we've been doing our openings these days. We have in the house for the second time. So excited to have her here. The Embodied Baddie coach, helping high-level women achieve better lives. The Embodied Baddie podcast host, world traveler, and my friend Chrystal Rose. How you doing, Chrystal?
I am so good. I'm pumped for this.
I think, and I hate to do this right off the bat, but I think we just need to address the elephant in the room on
I
this
think we do
podcast.
too.
Okay, good. So I'm glad we didn't even talk about this ahead of time, but I think we both know.
I think we know that you're jealous of me, and it's okay. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
okay.
yeah,
I get it.
like Deb says Chrystal Rose, I say the other woman, because that's how I see you on this podcast, which is fine. Like, I get it. You're more successful. You're all these different things, which is fine. My problem is I just don't like how Deb has to like flaunt it in my face. Like, I've already accepted it, but she's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to do Crystal's podcast. Like, I know, I get it. You're a regular on the show. You don't need to tell me. Like, I'll share the clips and all that stuff. I feel like I've been more than generous sharing her clips.
Oh yeah.
But she, for some reason, wants to break my heart. So I don't know. If you can talk to her about that, that'd be great. Because
the knife.
I know.
I mean, you have to think about it when you're really excited and you really like the person, you want to tell everybody, you want to sing it and scream it from the rooftops. And so she just can't help herself.
Which I 100%
I'm
agree with you.
Cool.
No, I get that. Now, where that hurts me though is she's never done that for our podcast, so it kind of puts me in my place as well. So it's like, it's awesome that she loves you so much, but it also makes me think, does she really love my podcast? I don't know. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to make this about me today, but we have to address it.
Sounds like you guys have a little bit of work to do in your relationship.
It's been like this for 4 years, so this might just be what it is.
I love it.
I knew that was going to be the first thing that we had to talk about and get it out in the open.
Oh, as soon as we booked it, I told my wife, I said, there's only one thing I need to address on this podcast. I could be silent for the rest of it. I'm not going to. I could be silent for the rest of it, but the first thing I'm going to say is about this. And she's like, I get it. I knew
it was coming. I was ready.
I figured you're a true pro. You knew.
I know.
But all that being said, before we get started, it has been cool listening to the podcast you guys have. I mean, you guys haven't done it for a little bit, but the podcast you guys were doing, it was Girlfriend Chat, right?
Yeah, the Girlfriend Chat episodes were just like so nice to have another perspective.
And it was cool. It was as if you were sitting at like a Starbucks or something and you were overhearing someone's conversation, just, two ladies just having some conversation about life. And so I thought it was a cool, in all seriousness, very cool thing that you guys are doing. Hopefully it comes back at some point.
Yes, it will.
Perfect. Awesome.
It's coming. I had to regroup.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I mean, speaking of podcasts and all that stuff, I'm excited to just jump into and just talk, this is like a catch-up episode for us, basically.
Yeah.
It's been, just for our listeners, it's been over 2.5 years since you were on last. So this is your second time on the show. Well, and this is our third time recording with you, because we had you back on Character Combines for the first one, I think.
Yeah.
And not here to judge.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. Right. So many. Yeah. Anyway. And I mean, I've recorded with you, Josh, just calm down, Josh. But like, I've recorded lots of
episodes. Good. I said what I needed to say.
Anyway, but like, so we always like to start off our episode with how we're connected. Obviously, we're connected to you, Chrystal, because I stalked your Instagram years ago, like ages ago. And then I worked up the courage. So I was following you for a while, worked up the courage to ask you on Character Combine. Josh helped me. I got to give him credit. He was like, I don't know if you did. I can't remember. I think you did, Josh. I was like, I have this girl. I want to ask her, but she's like, she doesn't know me. She's busy. She's going to respond to me. And then anyway, I DM'd you and you probably reluctantly said yes. And here you are back on our show.
I mean, you're the best kind of stalker though, like, like I've had some like really unfavorable, creepy stalkers. And then but chicks who like want to be my friend, like those are my favorite kind of stalkers. I'm like, yes, like show yourself to me. I want to know.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question though? Since we're kind of talking about how you guys are connected, obviously you did some podcasts with us, and then it got to the point where, and however many years ago it was, you wanted to invite Deb on to do the girlfriend chats as well as a part of your podcast.
Yeah.
Not that I want to give Deb too many compliments, but what was it about Deb and the interaction? Because I'm sure you've had a lot of interactions with a lot of people over the years, but there was something about Deb that you're like, hey, I want her to be a part of my world and what I'm doing. Like, what was it about her that made you want to do that?
Well, I mean, Deb's amazing, obviously, at like holding good conversations. She asks a lot of really great questions. And it felt like, okay, I can have her on and this will be a back and forth. This won't be like a interrogation, me asking all the questions. Like, I really felt like there was a genuine conversation that could be had and that could happen. Just based on like the few times that we had like talked. So I was like, you know what? I think we need to have her on, and she's done great. I mean, my audience loves it. They love it because it's like two girls just chatting. We have different perspectives and like similar perspectives, but yeah, she's just awesome at holding down the conversation with the back and forth, because sometimes it is like pulling teeth with people.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say anything about that, but you're 100% right. Those are tough podcasts to do. But yeah, that's awesome. That makes sense. And like I said, the chemistry on those episodes is really good. And like I said, it does feel like a good back and forth, not just it's not just like a free coaching session from you, right? Where it's like, is she just gonna unload all of her problems and just expect me to fix them? You know what I mean? Like that would suck. Yeah. So it is a good back and forth for sure.
I enjoyed this very much. The topics I picked, I remember like it was just, in a way, it wasn't like it was free coaching but like in a way I was like, this is great because I get her perspective too. Like it was a genuine conversation because there were things that I was going through or things that I was like struggling with, whether at work or in my relationship or love life or just thoughts in my head. And I'm like, I need to talk about this. So it was not only, I'm sure it was hopefully good content for your audience, Chrystal, but like I loved the conversations between the two of us. So I learned a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, especially I did like how you kind of just brought them up and it was like, okay, let's do that one. Yeah, let's go. And I used to do way back a million years ago, I did improv comedy. And so I really like being on the spot. I don't always like to have the questions in advance because then I'll overthink and try to like rehearse, and like, I'm going to say it like this. And then I always fuck it up. So with that, like you just brought the topic and then it was like, all right, let's roll. Let's go. I don't know what I'm going to say, but we'll figure it out.
Well, and we had a kind of a running joke while you were in the midst of doing those episodes pretty frequently. We had a joke on here that when, like, if Deb, I'm trying to think, you had the one bikini picture incident, right? Like a couple of summers ago. And so you saw her kind of explain on social media. That was like one level. And then she came on this podcast and it ratcheted it up a little bit more. And then by the time she got to your podcast, it was just full blown, like, I'm letting everybody have it. Everybody gets to smoke. Like, and it seemed like that was the progression every time something came up in Deb's life. Starts social media, and by the time it gets to Chrystal Rose's podcast, it's a huge, just unloading session. So that was kind of a joke on our podcast for a while.
I knew she would have lots of good things to say. That's why.
Makes sense. Yeah. And improv comedy. I don't think I knew that about you. I don't know if you mentioned that last time. Did you have a desire to take that further, or was that just like a fun hobby?
No, it was. So I did musical theater when I was a teenager. And then I did like a dinner theater when I was in my early 20s. And so when I moved out to San Diego, I was like, there's got to be some kind of something I can do. I like to perform. And there was an improv troupe that was auditioning. So I was like, well, let's see if I can do this. So I auditioned, got called back, and then they brought me into the troupe and I was with them for a couple of years.
Is that troupe still around?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I can't imagine that they would be. I feel like, but
once you left, it was all over.
No,
the whole thing. No,
they got really like big, and not like big as in popular, but like they added a lot of people over time, like after I left the troupe. So
interesting.
I have no idea what they ended up doing after that, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet. That's crazy. I had no idea. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so you came on Character Combine, and then you came on our Connectable podcast 2.5 years ago. And then that's when you started doing girlfriend chat episodes on your Self Love for Breakfast podcast show. And then you came on to Not Here to Judge a few times. So anyway, Chrystal and I have had many conversations. It's been a while though since we recorded anything, but you've gone through lots of changes in your business, with the rebranding of your podcast too, just lots of new things. That's what I love about you. You're not afraid to shift and grow. Mm-hmm. It's very inspiring, really, just because I think, well, and a lot of people, myself included, we can be so stuck and like, oh, I already decided to do this. Like, right? Like I can't back out now.
Yeah, I will burn it to the ground. If it's not working for me and I don't love it, it's not in alignment, I will burn it to the ground and I will start something else or start over or
love it.
Whatever. Yeah. If it's just not working.
Oh, I love that. No, that is, I think a lot of people are afraid of change. So anyway, obviously anyone listening, we're going to plug you at the end, obviously, and everyone has to follow her and watch her stories and everything, because they're really inspiring. We love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. But last time you were on episode 17, which was a bazillion years ago, we talked about, it was just you and I, just to give a brief rundown for our listeners. Josh wasn't there. We kicked him out on that one. It was
That's right.
That's not a joke, everybody. That is true. Deb's like, I'm gonna do this one by myself. Like, what? It's like Chris is coming on. Oh, okay. That's when the whole thing started. That's when this podcast affair started.
We talked. Yes.
Not affair. I'm sorry. Last time we talked about this, like really in depth, we called it like podcast polygamy. That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm. Podcast polyamory.
Yeah, exactly. But Deb clearly cared about one partner better than the other. So again, I'm done. I'm not gonna say it anymore.
New and shiny.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. Even beyond that point, it could have been like, you guys could have been friends forever. And she's like, I don't care. I just like her better than Josh. Not even a new and shiny thing, but that's okay. It's about you, Chris. It's not about me and my jealousy.
Oh, I love it.
Although I knew that was going to be part of it. You and I talked about like nutrition. We talked about eating habits. We talked about all kinds of things. Yeah, it was great. But I guess what I want to, I don't know, give us a rundown. What's new with you?
Since then, my goodness.
To now, I'm just kidding. No. So what is new with you in your business and your podcast rebranding? Just, I don't know, take us through whatever you want to tell us.
Yeah. So I don't know if I was doing this coaching work when I came on before. I had done nutrition coaching. I don't know if that was where I was at.
You were launching Pendulum back then.
Okay. So I was doing this. Okay. So here's what happened is I got into this work on accident and I became obsessed and it changed my life. And then it started changing the lives of my clients and people around me. And I still had my boutique Rebellia and I was like doing both. Right. And the thing about Rebellia is that I'm an entrepreneur at heart. If there's a problem, I want to solve it. And like, I'll start a whole business to solve it. And I need to like sit on my hands every once in a while and not just go full steam into doing that. But with Rebellia, I had been I think it was like a full 7 years in this boutique. And I loved the outcome. I didn't love the process. So the buying and even taking pictures and like all of that, I was just like, oh, it was not my favorite. But when I got those messages like, oh my gosh, I feel so confident and I never got so many compliments in my life, or I usually don't wear dresses, blah, blah, blah. Amazing. Like that, like lit me up and like kept me going far longer than I normally would, because it was just, I built such an incredible community. And it just became very clear to me that, okay, I can have both of these businesses and I can do considerably well, or I can go all in on one and really see how far we can take this. And I've never really done that. I've always had like a project and a thing and a stuff and like 2 businesses. And I'd always had like this like 100 million word introduction when I'm meeting people. Well, I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this. And so it was really like, let me go all in. And because I'm obsessed, I love it. I love the process and I love the outcome. And I can do so many fun things under this one roof. I won't get bored. I can still take on projects, but they just have to fit. They have to feed this one beast. They have to make sense. So I closed my store in February of last year. So that was 2022, right? Yes. Um, and I'm like so glad I did, because I needed to go all in. I needed to not be pulled over here and pulled over there and then come back to here. And my business has grown. It's amazing. I have, my one-on-one coaching. I have group programs. That was the pendulum at the time. I have a new one coming out soon. I go on retreats all over the world. And yeah, the podcast, we rebranded it to the Embodied Baddie podcast. I've rebranded some of my courses under Embodied Baddie Academy. And I started my new Instagram under the Embodied Baddie. And the reason why I did that is because when I started, I really wanted to give myself space to I didn't want to just pick a brand name, right? Rebellia kind of like dropped in after a little bit. And it was like, oh, okay. I didn't want it to be like Chrystal Rose is close, you know?
Oh, was that a real possibility?
No.
Okay. Like, ooh,
it was not.
that would have been tough.
But you know what I mean? Like a lot of people will name their boutiques after themselves or their clothing lines. And I just didn't want it to be about me. And that was a big thing with Rebellia. And so when it came to Chrystal Rose and Co., I wanted to stand behind my name and allow any sort of brand to just kind of emerge. And so we're like 3 years-ish in now, and the brand name emerged. So I got really excited, and I felt like this is so fitting. This fits my people, the people I work with, the women I work with. This fits me, and kind of just went all in on it. And I've probably rebranded my podcast, to be serious, like 4 times. I think it's had like 4 names. I think it's had like 4 names this whole time. But yeah, and then the Breathwork Bestie podcast. I don't know if I I don't think I was doing that at the time either. But that is just breathwork meditations. They're free. Breathwork is my gift to this world in that way, because I don't do a lot of it one-on-one or even like groups. I do it in my coaching. But I wanted to make it really accessible for people. So there's just like a whole library of how do you want to feel and how do you feel, and we can make you feel good. So I have all that going on. So I think that's like mainly like the stuff, like the meat of it. I'm full-blown transformative coach, and I love it, and I'm obsessed, and I don't think I ever want to do anything else besides this. I might open a mobile bookstore, but that's later.
Let's see. There she goes with her.
There it is.
Some more ideas. I'm glad you mentioned Rebellia. I am, and I know that was a good move on your part, but unfortunately for me, I have not been able to find any other clothes. I'm forced to go to department stores now. No. But I know. Well, like my favorite jeans that I have from your store, they now have, I've worn them so much that the belt loops are like broken.
No.
Anyway, so blah blah blah. There's me bitching about how I miss Rebellia. So
I'll have to like send you pairs of like mine that I don't wear right now. Let's like send them to you.
Take them.
My old Rebellia pairs. Yeah. That's the saddest part about it, is that, I mean, where I feel like there are a lot of brands and stores that are doing a lot better for women with muscles and curves. I was like, that's where I was kind of like, okay, I'm not the only player anymore. Like for a while I was, I really was. So I was like, I feel good that like, hopefully people can find things.
Yeah, they will. And I will. But yeah, no, that was a treat for me, but I'm glad you're doing what you want to do. And that it's like, it must be such a good feeling to be like focused on your coaching and just your, and like you said, you don't want to be doing anything else. What you focus on high level, like achieving women.
Yes.
So what made you want to gear in that direction? And have you always been geared towards that direction, or is that something that is part of your new rebranding of focusing on women who are just like go, like high level achieving women?
I think it's kind of like a twofold thing. So when I first started coaching, it was really come one, come all. I don't care if you can pay me what I charge. Like I will work with you. Because I didn't know who I necessarily wanted to work with. But through working with my first, batch of one-on-ones and doing my first group, I started to the theme started to develop here. And that theme is also me, right? I had the similar problem. So working with women who are high level, maybe they run businesses, or maybe they are, corporate rock stars, or maybe they just think at a higher level, right? And they hold themselves to a higher standard. So I have stay-at-home moms that are in groups of mine, right? And it's not about what you do, how much money you make, or any of that. It's truly genuinely that up level of I hold myself to the standard. And that is, I think, who needs the most help because this type of woman is really in her head and lives there, right? And swirls in her head and in stories all day long. And what I've seen is that these women really benefit from being in their bodies, and their lives become that much better. Now they're living the life they actually thought they would be living by starting the business or the home, the corporate job or getting a promotion, instead of it feeling like they're drowning and exhausted and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel the way they thought it would. And so we kind of align that for them. So one of the big, the quotes that get said to me almost every single time I start working with someone is, I don't know what's next. I just know this sucks. They're tired. They're tired. So we gotta get them back to maybe you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it needs to feel good, and we get to make it feel good.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Josh, I have 1,000 questions for her, so you can.
I'm just waiting for my turn. You're all good.
Keep going. Okay.
No, I have a ton of questions too, but I want to make sure you get yours out. So
I could talk to Chrystal for 5 hours, but she doesn't.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay, I will jump in then. One of the things I'm wondering with what you do is, obviously, I would say a big part of what you do and why people are drawn to what you do is because they see you, they see your personality, they see the confidence, they see the success, all of that. Do you ever run into a situation where there's almost more of a draw to your personality than the process that you want to take them through? Is there ever a situation where it's they just want to be around you? And it's I'll do your course or I'll do your coaching. But then when they get into it, it's well, that's not really what I signed up for. I just wanted to hang out with Chrystal. It's no, it's cool. I'm glad you're drawn to me, but I need you to understand. I don't want to say Dev's name, but it's fine. But you know what I mean? They're drawn to that. But then when it's actually time to go through the process, they're there's a little bit more resistance there because they didn't quite understand the balance between the two.
I'm going to say yes and no. Because a lot of the times there is an energetic pull to me as a person and how I live and the way I feel, right? It's not just about me being successful. It's about how I feel while I'm doing it. And the way that I live, right? I have an amazing relationship. I'm doing everything I want. I'm traveling all the time. So there's that draw. I want to be in her world. And when they get in, because the thing is, it's really hard to explain what I do. I use a lot of different modalities in my coaching. And when I start being embodiment work and subconscious reprogramming, people are eyes glaze over, breath work. Oh no, I don't know. But when they get in, that's when the magic actually really happens. So within a couple of weeks, especially in the group programs, it's whoa, where has this been? How have I never known about this work? I wish I had started this 15 years ago. That's the kind of feedback that I get. It's not there's generally not disappointment. Those types of women, though, the thing that I do find resistance around is they want to win. They want to win healing. They want to win personal development. They want the A+, and I have to really just invite them into a different way of thinking and be this, you may not get something the first time I tell you. It may not click it could be months after we're done working together, and all of a sudden you're going to be oh, it's going to hit, and so don't worry about getting it. Don't worry about getting it. Just let me do my job, and I promise you're going to get it. It's going to click and it'll make sense. But they try really hard to like win
It makes sense. Yeah.
win at being coached. And then there's generally a surrender that happens. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that usually they stick around for a few years. That's the thing, is that I can't get rid of them. And now I've got people, I have to keep creating higher level, like not like higher level programs, but like continuing programs so that I can like keep them in my world and they can stay with me.
Which is kind of a cool partnership there, right? Because obviously they initially sign up because they're trying to learn from you and what you provide. But then when it gets to that point, then it starts really stretching your own creativity and your own, challenge to do, like, oh, dang, I gotta, like you said, take it to another level for these people that are pushing further, which is what you want them to do. But then it's like, dang, now I have to create that further level for them. So it's kind of like, a weird tug of war there, but it's pretty cool though. It benefits both sides for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like, I mean, I hear from my people all the time, like, you can't get rid of me or you won't be able to get rid of me. And I'm like, okay, well,
there you go.
And I imagine those, sorry, Josh, I imagine those types of women just want to be, I guess, I don't know if the fixed is the right word, but like, or coached quick. They're like,
oh yeah,
I have things to do. Like, just especially if they want to win at being coached. Like you said, I like how you put that. Just because that's how my brain works sometimes. I'm like, okay, like I don't have time. Like I need to let me get fixed and let me like figure out how to do this and then send me on my way. So I imagine it's frustrating for some of those women to like slow down and like take in the process of you coaching them. What's that like? Is there like resistance at first? Like you like, go.
Yeah. I mean, like, so for me personally, like I didn't know what I was getting into when I started doing this work. I thought I was enrolling in a certification program and I would blow up my nutrition coaching and all of that. Like that's what I thought I would be doing. And instead I got I was like, my whole life changed. And I was like, no, we need to kick nutrition to the curb and just do this. So I wouldn't go in with any expectations. In fact, I went in with such arrogance of, you can't teach me anything I don't already know type thing. Right. That's where I was at. And so I do get clients that they want quick results. Like I had someone actually tell me like they like, what is the lipo of this coaching? Sign me up for that. And it's funny because the results that I get my clients are so much faster than what they've been trying for years and years and years. I mean, I have clients who are like, I've literally been in therapy for decades of therapy. And you have helped me move through something in 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, a year, like way faster than I have. But still there is that urge to go fast, which I'm okay with because I'm continually adding to my skill set. And I'm actually in the process of a modality right now that literally can clear something in a single session, like gone. So I'm in the process of doing that so that I can offer that and do one-offs, because right now a one-off with me, well, not right now, but before, a one-off with me, it just wasn't super beneficial. Because there's a lot here, right? Like we have this whole stack of your whole life piled up. Clearing it in one session is just not possible. But now I can take something really specific that maybe you've been struggling with or dealing with, or even in an intense trauma, and I can most likely clear it in one session.
Wow.
So we're getting better.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And like, I know your background and like your history, or, some of the things that you told me with, growing up and some things. So you're like, would you say that your personal struggles in your life and the work you've done have contributed to the way you coach these women and how you understand maybe how to coach each of them differently?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having my own personal experience, like in searching for years and years on how to like fix myself, quote unquote, right? And then when I started doing this work, like I know that not every tool works for every person. And so I show up to every session, especially with one-on-one, like what's alive today? Like what's here? I can't just be like, this is what I've decided we're going to do, because that gets tossed on its ear when they come in and they've got something else. And even with group work, I have a structure But as something arises, and we can always go into it with that person and work through things. So there's a lot of flexibility in it. And I think really for me, just having been through my own stuff, intense childhood trauma, that I have like a depth of compassion, and I just have this deep, deep, deep well of love. And so people come into my world and I just love them right off the bat. Like, I love you. Like, it's so easy for me to go there with them. And to really, really want to help them feel the way that they want to feel and get them out of the stuckness that they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just knowing the stuff that you've been through, I could easily off air tell you like all,
Yeah.
like all my things and like trust you with them and like, no, you won't judge stuff. And so, it's not like, I'm sure and it's not like your clients need to know all the things that you've been through, but like, that's what I was thinking earlier. Like, I'm sure that's helpful and why it contributes to why you're so successful as a coach, like how you help these women. So
yeah, I mean, the lack of judgment thing too is kind of my specialty. I mean, even before I did any of this work or any sort of coaching, like people would tell me the craziest stuff because they're just like, I know you're not going to judge me and I know you're not going to tell anyone. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm a lockbox. Like, and no, I'm not going to judge you because I mean, I understand humanity. I just understand that we all do things that maybe we're not proud of, or that have been harmful to ourselves or to others. And there's no shame in it for me. I'm just like, that's cool. Let's move you through this,
yeah.
Are people surprised when they get a little taste of your backstory? Because I mean, it could obviously, I think we talked about this when we first spoke to you on the Character Combine. Like, obviously stories like that can go a very different direction than it's gone for you, because there's so much there. But are people, I mean, shocked when they first hear kind of what you went through?
Oh yeah. I mean, especially like with my like boarding school and whatnot, like I was just on a retreat with like my coach and some other women, and somehow something came up and they were all like, what? Like, because it's like almost an alien language explaining some things like about that, it's just not a normal, even saying trauma is normal, but like, just, it's not just like a normal trauma, like
Sure.
it's very different. And so, yeah, people are usually like, whoa. And I definitely get the question, like, how are you not dead in a ditch somewhere? Because, everything that I've been through. But I really do believe like there is something in me as a kid and as a teenager and as a young adult that just said, like, I will not let anything take me down. And I'm just going to do what I can to stay afloat. And I mean, I had some really dark times for sure, especially before I found this work. But I had to be my cheerleader and support me and be that person for myself. So it's easy, and I love being that person for others now. But yeah, people are pretty shocked.
No, I can imagine. Well, I was going to say too, with you, like what you just said, how you're that person for other people now, and you're obviously a leader in your space, and so many people follow you, love what you do, between the coaching and the podcast, all these different things, and kind of going back to your rebranding or making decisions about your business, right? Where you're going to make a pivot here or there. Like, how much does the idea of you being a leader of all these people weigh on you when you have to make that decision? Because obviously, like, for yourself, you already said it, like, if you need to burn something down, you'll just do it. No questions asked. You'll just do it if it's best for where you're at mentally. But when it comes to like everybody that's following you, do they have a tough time with it? How much does that weigh on you when you have to make those decisions? I mean, it's kind of a big question, but obviously all of your decisions are magnified because you have so many people following you. And so does that ever weigh on you heavy, or have you gotten to a point where you just know who you are and the impact of your decision?
I mean, I know who I am and where I'm going and what I want. And I truly believe that especially the decisions I make for my business are for the highest good. They're for the greatest good. So when I kill a program, I'm like, this isn't working. It's not delivering the way I want it to. And a lot of my decisions are, it's for them, So I recently had my group program most recently, and I had played around with this. I had done a couple of 6-month rounds, and then I did a 3-month round. And then this last round was supposed to be 3 months. And I was like, nope, Nope, we're adding another 4 weeks to this. Like it does not feel complete. It does not feel good enough. I don't feel like I'm delivering what I promised to deliver. So we're going another 4 weeks. Is everyone cool with that? Okay, great. So I make decisions very quickly because I know intuitively that it's the right thing to do. And I don't let my head come in with logic and reason and try to like talk me out of things. But if there is any sort of like windfall or someone's going to be affected in a negative way, then I make sure that I make it right with them specifically. But I just know that like all of the decisions I make for my business are for the highest good. They're for their highest good and for mine too.
Yeah.
And which is interesting because, like you said, you make it right with them, which does not necessarily mean you change what your direction. You
Right.
just communicate it to them in a different way.
Yeah. Or I mean, if for some reason, like, let's say, for example, I was running a program and into it, I was like, nope, we need to like we can't do this. Or if I had a launch and we hadn't started yet and people had paid, like I'd refund people. I'd be like, this is not what I wanted. Or if I've been working with someone, I would make adjustments for them that felt good for both of us. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to change what it's going to do. And we see that in my legacy container, which is my like these are my alumni students. They've been with me for years. And, recently I had reiterated that I'm going to be adding new people to the group every time a group session ends. And there was a lot of like anxiety and like a little bit of like not mean girl stuff, but kind of, just kind of like no new friends, and and then like, they were like stressed about it. And I held all of them beautifully. I didn't get defensive at all. There was one point that they had made, there was a process that I was considering doing. They didn't love that. They explained why. And I was like, you're totally right. Like, we won't do that. So I let everyone say their piece. And then I was like, okay, so now I'm going to say mine. I hope everyone is like good, and we're still going to do this. Because I said that we're going to do this. It still feels good. It feels in alignment. And like, I'm not going to let anyone in here that isn't right for the group. And it was like this beautiful conversation that we got to have. And like, everyone was able to say everything. It was so, we're like, what a grown up conversation we got to have.
Yeah.
But it was a really, really hard conversation where it could have easily devolved into something where I got defensive and like, and then they're like, no, we don't want new people. It could have just turned into a whole thing. And instead it was like, this is a decision I made before I even started this. And I still feel like it's the best thing. And I understand it's a little uncomfortable, but we're going to get through it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Got you.
And then, well, I was watching you on Instagram when you were rebranding and switching. I was like, oh, good. Here she goes again. And I'm like, yay. Like, I'm just so happy for you. Cause I know it's the right thing for you. Like you said, like your intuition, I'm just going for it, which I think is a good message, by the way, because so many times, Josh, all three of us, like, I'm sure there was something that went on in your head, like, and then quickly you're like, no, I shouldn't because X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
So many times. Right. So I think
Yeah.
it's a reminder for anyone to like, if you have a feeling like most of the time your intuition is right, and like, don't be afraid to try it and like, just go for it. Yeah.
And even if like, we gotta throw away this idea that like, if it feels good now and doesn't work out, then I made a wrong decision. It's like, no, like you made the best decision for you at that time. And just because it didn't work out, or even if it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you chose wrong. No, it's amazing that you were able to move towards the thing that you really wanted. And if it didn't work out, now we get to say, okay, how would I have wanted this to go down? What would have been ideal for me? And then we get to raise our energy and our energetic standards and be like, next time I'm going to make sure this and this is a thing, like with dating. My last boyfriend, he was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. I didn't love the fact that we were long distance. That sucked. And also he didn't fully accept me. Like he definitely judged me here and there. Right. So after that relationship, I was like, I'm pumped that I was able to meet someone. Like, what amazing proof and evidence that good, kind men exist. and they're not pushovers and will still like be very masculine. Like, oh, what wonderful evidence. And I would love also for him to truly fully accept me for all that I am and who I am and the hot mess that happens at times. um and obviously not be long distance, you know. And I met my husband, and my husband checked all of those boxes. So it wasn't like it was such beautiful evidence. And I think a lot of the times we see something as, oh, this great thing came and happened and then it didn't work out. And so it'll never work out for me. I'll never get to, and we make it so big picture when it's like, no. That's just showing you that like what you want exists. And now like the next version will be even better. It always gets better.
Yeah. Love it. Oh, I miss our dating chats.
I know. We're gonna have to after this schedule some podcast time.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this is like, I need to take this and kind of apply it to the podcast thing too. It's like, I feel like there's some boxes I'm not checking for Deb, and that's why she keeps writing back to you again. No, not to make it about this. I'm gonna take some notes. I'm taking some notes.
Just no offense intended at all. You have no control over this, but you're just a man. That's all.
Yeah, that's all.
Which I accept that. And okay, the part I don't accept is no offense, because anytime you're not here, Chrystal, it's very offensive, the stuff she says. So let's not be fake here.
No offense.
She takes shots and she means to cause offense. That's all I'm saying. All right. Hey, I do have a question. Do you, I don't think we've asked you this before, but you're very present on social media. You put out a lot of content. Do you enjoy social media, or is it something you just feel like you have to do?
You know what's so funny is making the decision to go from my account with like 10,000 followers to like starting over was such an ego like kick. It's just
sure.
like a kick in the shins.
Sure.
To my ego. But the funny thing is that the majority of my revenue does not come from social media. It comes from referrals. It comes from like connections. It comes from people who have been around, like not immediate social media, but like people who have discovered me years ago that finally have decided they're going to pull the trigger, right? That are like, okay, I'm in. I've been watching you for 6 years. And I'm like, what? This whole time? So like, I need to learn how to get people there faster, clearly, so I can help people faster. But the thing is with social media is that I know it's a necessary evil of what I do. And I would love to start making more connections and relationships and friendships and clients from social media. So I do think it's important for me to be there and for me to use my platform. And even just like the good that I want to do in this world and I am doing in this world, and just being a figure who does that. It's important for me to be on social media, but I honestly, if you pay attention to my account, like I'll just go dark for a while. Like you won't see a single story from me. And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to post a story because I am very in the moment with my life. I suck at taking pictures when I travel because I'm not about the picture. I'm about the experience. My husband and I we've been together 12 years almost. And then, married for 8 in December. I mean, we've got like 9 pictures together besides our like wedding photos. Like I don't think of social media first. So I hired someone. She's amazing. I've been hiring people like over time that just haven't been able to get me. And so she's amazing. She really helps me figure out like what we're doing and strategy, and she does that side of it. And so really she just is like, okay, this is what you need to do, and most of the time I do it. So now it feels a lot better now.
That's good.
Nice.
So she helps you with the social media aspect and kind of keeps you on track of like,
yeah,
that's good, that's helpful.
Yeah. She'll be like, make a video about this, or like hey, this trend is the thing, like do this, and then write a caption, and or she'll help me with engagement and things like that. So it's nice to have.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd never post.
Yeah.
Once a month.
Well, yeah, because then you can focus on what you want to focus on, which in the program, and educating yourself, or the work that you do for yourself too.
Yeah. In an ideal world, I would be spending all of my time with my clients, coaching them and working with them. You know, and it's such an entitled little bratty business owner thing that we get to have, being like, I don't want to be on social, you know, why can't they just fall from the sky, you know? Why do people need to see me? But you know, that's the reality that we live in. So I'm happy to hire help and getting to support other women business owners and pay other people to help me help other people.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Obviously we've been following you, I mean, for a long time now, quite a few years. And I will say one of my, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but like one of my favorite things that you do, and one of the things I get the most enjoyment out of, is when you go on a rant because you saw something about something from maybe another person in a similar space that you're in, do something that is polar opposite of what you do. And it's kind of one of those, like, it's almost like a warning to like everybody's like, hey, if you see this, this is not good coaching. Not that you said that, but like that's what I get from it. If I'm wrong, please tell me. But I feel like people really respond to that because I'm sure they appreciate it, because there's so many people out there doing different things, and very few people are willing to say, hey, if you see this, stay away, because this sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a fine line between like, I don't want to build myself up by putting other people down. Like that's not something I'm super interested in, but there's just times where I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like I just get annoyed and I just have to like kind of go off. And actually that's something that I'm a little scared to do on social, but you know how like you can remix someone's video on Instagram now, like it can show their clip and then you can add yours on it, and that's been on TikTok or whatever. There is, and they're super rich, famous, successful men. And I just want to do all of their videos and just be like, are you, what the just like lose it. And I will be eventually, but I just need to like build myself up, I guess. Because there's just so many things where I'm just like, why are you telling women this? Oh my gosh, you know, like stop telling people you can sleep when you're dead. Stop telling people that like just work harder when they're exhausted, or waking up at 5 a.m. or you're a piece of trash. You know, it's just like, this is all ancient personal development bullshit. And I just don't subscribe to it. I really genuinely believe every single person knows what's best for them. In my coaching, I'm not giving advice. I'm not being like, well, I think you should. I don't do that. I pull out of them what is best for them from them. And we do that. So if you got some jerk giving you 6 arbitrary rules to live by for the next 75 days, no names.
Sure.
He doesn't know what's best for you. He doesn't know. And who's to say that this is going to build quote unquote mental toughness? I know so many people who have done stuff like that, gotten quote unquote results, and then they fall off the wagon because it's not sustainable. And like, I'm all about sustainability. I don't want my clients to spend 6 months with me and however much money and then go back to square one. I want them to have results no matter what. I want them to text me in 2 years and be like, holy shit, you're never going to guess what happened. I was presented with this situation. I responded this way. Whoa, I can't believe that. Like, that's what I want for them. And so I want to give them the tools, and I want to make sure that I pull from them what's best for them, not what I think or what some guy on social media thinks, some guru, you know?
It's almost like it reminds me of a crash diet. Right? It's like a quick, like, here, lose, 30 pounds in 15 days or whatever. And then it's like, okay,
and that's all. And honestly, that's mainstream personal development. That's self-help books. That's going to conferences, right? How many conferences have people gone to where they're rah, 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 rah. Yeah. And then they get home and then it's like, what do I do now? Or I don't know where to start. And it just doesn't stick. And the work that I do you don't have to think about it. You don't have to babysit your thoughts. It's genuinely just like, things are unraveling. I unwire beliefs and I unwire behaviors, and then we rewire something better. So it just happens naturally. And then you're like, oh my gosh, you don't have to think oh, I need to respond this way, this way, this way. You know, like remember. Oh, I'm in an argument. Like, don't do this like you always do. Like, that's insane. You're fighting with yourself all the time. And what I do is we do all that work underneath. And so when you get into that situation, you just automatically act a different way. But
it's as soon as you said beliefs and behaviors, like I'm just like, I don't know, my brain, and now I have a million questions. I'll try to, but like, just like, there's so many things. Sorry, now I'm getting into like wanting to know about her coaching. And for people listening too, like, it's very interesting. Like, there are so many things that we are hung up on because of our beliefs. And then I guess the behavior follows it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. But like
beliefs, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. It's a succession, but people think it starts at the thought, and it's the belief is underneath pushing and driving that thought, those thoughts.
Yeah. Well, for the longest time, I thought that I had a belief in my head about like, oh, like, this is my job that I signed up for, so I'm doing this forever. I don't know why. Like, I didn't allow myself to like, no, you can try this and you can do this, or you can like try this out or do this. I'm not sure where that belief came from, but anyway, my stepmom said it to me one time. She all of a sudden, she interrupted me. She's like, no, you don't. And I was like, what? She's like, you don't have to, you could quit that tomorrow if you want and do something else. And I was like, I can. And so it was just like, I don't know. No one taught me that. I don't know. It was just in my brain.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a silly example, but it's so true that all of that is there. And like how you just explained it is how you help your clients like unravel all that. I feel like
we just get straight to the belief. We get straight to like, where did this come from? Right. And a lot of the times people are walking around with beliefs that are subconscious. Like, we don't even know we have them. Right. Because if I'm like, do you think you're unworthy? Most likely your conscious mind's gonna be like, no, of course I'm worthy. Of course. Right. But then we have women out there who are literally hustling for their worth. Like, they equate their sales numbers to their worth. They equate kudos and social media likes to their worth subconsciously. And so sometimes we don't even know it's there. We have to dig and we have to get underneath to the real stuff. And then we can shift that belief, and then everything follows after: the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, the results that you get.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. And I don't know, I'm like you said, like people, like you said, one of your clients said it took them 10 years in therapy of like what you taught them. It's just,
I mean, after 10, 20 years in therapy, they still weren't at the place that we moved through. It's 6 months, boom, boom. Like, boom.
And that is a quick result comparatively.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think it just feels slow when you're in it, and like you aren't fully understanding a concept, because a lot of the things that I'm teaching and that I am coaching people through and I'm pointing to don't make logical sense. And they aren't normal things that people are running around talking about. It's not the rah personal development stuff. And so it takes some time for people to wrap their logical minds around it. It just takes time. And so that gets very frustrating, because they're like, I'm not getting it. And I'm like, your body is getting it. Your subconscious is getting it. Trust me, your conscious mind is going to catch up. It's got to catch up. Right? It's the little lag happening right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then, sorry, I'm just shifting now to your title, Embodied Baddie. What made you come up with that? And like, what does it mean? It's one of the questions I wanted to ask you. What does it mean to be an embodied baddie?
So embodiment work is a lot of the basis of like what I do. And it's feeling in your body, right? And so we say, I'm going to embody this next version of me. Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? It's not fake it till you make it. It's embody it until you become it. So it's really about just feeling in your body, whatever it is, whoever it is that you want to be, that next version of yourself. And baddie, I like because it gives it an edge. Like, I'm not some, and this is great because there's coaches out there that are like this, and I absolutely love them. And I've hired people like this that are very like wispy, right? They're very like, abundance is your birthright. And I'm the kind of person who's like, abundance is your fucking birthright. Like, I'm not like wispy like that, right? I'm kind of not aggressive, but I've got a little more, edge to me. And I've always thought like, I'm a badass. I know I'm a badass. Like, I know that I have done some amazing things. I have survived amazing things. I've created amazing things. And I truly believe that I'm a badass. And in one of my past businesses, the inner badass was kind of like the avatar that we had, right? It was like, unleash your inner badass, blah, 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 blah. So with Baddie, I just feel like it fits. It fits now. It fits with the times. I even asked my clients that have been with me a long time, like, what do you think of when you hear the term like baddie? And they're like, oh, it's just like a woman who stands in her power and she's just like, doesn't care what other people think and blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, great, we're on the same page. So I really felt like Embodied Baddie just dropped in and it just felt right. And it made sense that I was like, all right, we're doing this. We're going in on it. And I called my lawyer the next day and I was like, let's trademark it. And she's like, okay. So I just went on a limb on it because it fits.
Yeah, I love it. It has a nice ring to it. The way you explained it, like, is perfect. Like, I think
Yeah.
I love it.
And we want to be embodied, not in our heads.
Exactly. Yeah. Which us women tend to do.
Oh,
I guess, Josh, I guess men do that too, but we are more, I feel like women are the way we're wired. We are more so in our heads. I don't know, Josh, you're the male in the room, so you tell me if I'm wrong, but like the way we think, like, I swear I have like a million thoughts in my head at the same time that I'm like thinking of like what this person will think, or like how this person, or how I will react, or how, like, there's just so many thoughts. And I feel like, I don't know, men just have one thought at a time. I don't know, Josh.
Yeah, we've got 3 windows open with like 87 tabs open on each window.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That all sense.
I get that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you like that, Josh?
Probably not. I would say not to the same extent. I think I like to think I have more than one window open. But it may not appear like it. But no, I think I have a couple more windows, but I mean, definitely not to the same extent. I don't want to speak for everybody, but for myself specifically, it kind of depends. Kind of depends on what's going on. But there are moments where it feels like everything is crossing the paths between my family, podcast stuff, work, and then it's like, at those moments, I feel like there's a lot going through my head. But for the most part, it's not like a consistent thing. I would say it's not like every single day. Whereas it sounds like, Deb, that might be a more consistent thing for you based on what you're just saying. I definitely have those moments, but for the most part, and my personality is a little bit more laid back too. So that probably plays a little bit of a part in it, but on occasion it does happen. It does happen.
I like to describe the mind like that though, because people get it, right? Especially if you are a person with a million tabs open.
Yeah.
But if you actually think about it, you can't have more than one thought at one time.
Sure.
So when you have thoughts racing, right, it's like they're competing for space in your head.
Right.
And it's like clicking through tabs, like without settling on one.
Sure.
It's just, and the subconscious mind, right? There's so many tabs that are just open that we don't even know, but they're still running and they're still bogging down your computer by having them open. So in doing this work, we're closing tabs, right? If I'm clearing trauma, if I'm clearing a feeling or something, we're just going through and we're closing the tabs, shutting them down, so we can like.
No, that's a perfect imagery for it, because obviously when too much is running, right, then that's when stuff starts breaking down with the computer completely, and then computer, it's a computer, but it's not really working to the best of its ability. So I think it's great imagery for sure.
Yeah, that's our mind. Our mind is a processor, and it's just processing information.
Awesome. Yeah. And then so what's coming up for you, like down the pike? Like, what are you working on now?
Well, I don't know when this is going to go live, but so one of the things that I've committed myself to recently is coming up with shorter programs, just little like self-led e-courses, toolkits, mini courses, things like that. Then I have some larger ones that are like that in e-course form too, because I realized like my one-on-one has become in such high demand this year that I like have to raise my prices and I have to, create a more high level experience. And I'm working with women who are, I mean, honestly, I was told that my group program didn't cost enough, they're like, and and no one that you're going for is going to believe that you can give them the results on that price. I'm like, seriously? So, okay. So I realize I still want to be accessible to people who want to get this work. And so I'm committed to creating a body of work, a digital library, that people can access at any time. And, there's a range of prices. And when I come out with something, it's usually lower because of early bird and whatever. But it's like there are payment plans and it's accessible. So like maybe you can't afford something right off the bat or pay in full, but you could save for it. You could put it on a credit. You could do whatever you want if it's really something you want to do. So I make that accessible, and I really genuinely believe that anyone can afford it if they want to, if they really want to. And then my next group program, I've realized I've run my last group program, Pendulum, 4 times. And I realized that my skill set has increased and that I'm getting better and faster, and I'm adding more things. And I haven't added all those things into that program. And so with the feedback that it didn't cost enough, and with the fact that I haven't been injecting my skill set into it completely, I decided to put that to bed and start a entirely new group program for high level women exclusively, and add those new skills in. So I'm calling it Rare, and it's using my signature Rare framework, which is reawaken, align, renovate, and expand. So it's like a process I take people through. And so I'm really like grounding in that process in that program. And I'm so freaking excited about it. Like at first, of course, when someone's like, raise your prices, it's like, oh no, what if no one buys it? Like it's scary. But at the same time, like it feels so good now knowing like what I'm going to be delivering in this program and who it's for. And I just am so excited to meet all the women that are going to be in it, because I just know it's going to be amazing and even more life-changing than the other things that I've done. So that's really what I'm like working on. I mean, of course, I've got a retreat in Italy every year. I have one happening in Egypt next year. I've got the podcasts, because like, okay, if you want free shit, like that's the podcasts are for that, my content on social media, we cover those bases. And then I really like, again, I want to be accessible, like every level.
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. But this will come out on this next Tuesday, so October 24th.
Oh, perfect.
So,
yeah. So that's good timing. That my Sir Thriving the Holidays toolkit, or it's Sir Thriving the Season toolkit, should be just about dropped.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're busy, basically.
But what's funny, and because I live my work, I don't just talk about it, I live it. And honestly, like I can be doing a million things now. It doesn't feel like I'm doing a million things. Like what I'm doing now could have even like drowned me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, probably more like 4 years ago when I was running multiple businesses. I'm doing a lot more technically now, but a lot less too. It's very strange. So I feel very chill, very relaxed. I don't put stress in anything I create. I refuse. I just won't do it. And I'd rather not show up for something and be like, hey, listen, let's reschedule if I'm a mess, which I'm normally not. But again, I respect the work that I do so much. So yeah, I do a ton of things and I'm quote unquote busy, but in a very relaxed, chill AF kind of way.
That's awesome.
Well, and I think that's just testament. Yeah, I think that's just testament to that this is what you're busy, but you feel chill about it because you're good at it, and it's something that you enjoy doing, and obviously something that you're meant to do, which is a beautiful thing when you find that.
Yeah, and I refuse to be burned out. I mean, I think there are a lot of women who feel that way about their work. They love what they do. They're they're excited about it and all that, but they are doing the most. They're doing things that they actually don't need to be doing, and I'm just not available for that anymore. I don't do anything that I feel like I have to, or someone told me I should. If it doesn't feel right to me, I just don't do it. I don't do obligatory stuff. I shoulds. I listen to myself and does this feel good? And if it does, and I do it. And that gives you energy as opposed to takes from you.
Well, and then on that, piggybacking off what you just said, thank you for being on our podcast.
Yes, thank you very much. We definitely appreciate it.
She wants to be here today.
I do. Well, I mean, when you asked me, I was like, hell yeah, of course. Like that was an easy one. That was, of course.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I'm glad that our listeners got, are caught up with at least what you're doing now, and that you explained your coaching and what you do and all that work, because that's important for, someone listening is going to be like, I need that, or I need to follow her, or at least kind of see what this, gal is about. So I'm glad you got that. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, like, whoever, anyone listening, sign up for your emails, because I get your emails all the time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I love them. I read them all the time. And one of the last ones you sent was like, I loved how you did it. It was like a menu of like all of your prices. It was so cute. It was like, here's the entree, main course, appetizer, here's dessert. And it was like prices broken down, like, bigger price for entree and down to like just bite-sized prices, and like just the things that you offer, like just little things like that. It's just,
well, that's kind of scary too, right? To just put your prices out there, because a lot of coaches won't, because they want you, like, they want to get you on a call so they can like show you the value, like convince you and handle your objections. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to handle your objections. I don't want to. Like, if you are like, oh no, you're not the right person for me, or oh, this is too much money, I'm gonna go, okay, that's okay. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh girl, you can afford it, get a credit card. No, like, I'm not your financial advisor. Like, that's on you. If you want to do this bad enough, like, you'll do it. And I don't have to like smoke and mirrors you. And so I was like, I'm just gonna put my pricing out there, because it's gonna scare away the people who are like, oh hell no. Right? It's gonna scare those people away. And then the people who are like, oh, I'm putting that on my vision board, I'll get there. And then the people who are like, oh, okay, that's good, like, now I know what they are. So like, so when they reach out to me, it's not like a dance we're doing. They're like, you're the person for me, I want to work with you, I just have some questions, and that's all I need to do is clear up some questions, as opposed to like, and the pricing is, and then they're like, oh, that's not what I thought it would be. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I love that. Well,
maybe it's wrong, but I don't want to do it.
No, I love that. And it saves you time. And like, I certainly, no one likes to be pressured into, doing something, or do it because they're right there on the phone with you or whatever, obviously you have something here, but like you said, you're like, I'm not going to spend all day convincing you. Like, you either want to do it or you don't.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And if I can like help them out, like, I'll change up a payment plan for them, or, I'll take a deposit and then we can like figure out the rest later. Like, I'm flexible. I'm just not gonna like, I'm not gonna push someone into it. Like, and again, like, there are probably business coaches out there that are like, you shouldn't do that. You got to take the credit card on the call and like all this stuff. And I'm like, that's just not my world. I truly believe that there is enough, and that the right people will come into my world. And I definitely don't want that yucky energy of like pushing someone into something and then they're like not sure. And I know I can deliver at least. Like, I know they're not going to show up and be like, oh, this sucks. But still, I just don't want that.
Yeah.
It just starts the whole process off on a genuine, transparent, honest foot. You know what I mean? So I think that's smart.
Yeah. And guess what? It's your business. You get to do what you want.
I sure can.
There you go. It's as simple as that.
And maybe that'll change, right? Like, maybe I'll change my mind on that someday. But like, as of right now, like, that's where I'm at. And yeah, it's funny that I didn't even realize you get all my emails. But yeah, I was like, let me just we're just putting it out there. Putting it transparent AF.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, obviously we could talk to you for 10 more hours, or at least
no, this has been awesome. We appreciate it for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Of your time. Josh, are there any last questions you have for her right now? Or Chrystal, do you have any last like parting words of wisdom? Maybe okay, here's my question, I guess. Sorry, Josh, I just hijacked.
I'll just say this real quick. I have a ton of questions I could ask you, but I want to be respectful of your time. So we'll save it for next time. We'll save it for next time.
Dad's like, no.
No. No. Well, like what is there I guess a word of advice that you have for anyone who is wanting to like finally like take the leap and start their own thing, start their own business, or finally maybe shift careers or whatever, gain the courage to like finally go on that date or whatever, like anything.
Just do something scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's like, it's not life or death, right? Like going on that date or showing up, it feels scary in your body. And notice that. When I notice that something feels scary in my body, I remind myself that I'm safe, because we are still running the same program that we were running thousands and thousands of years ago, when we would turn a corner and there'd be a bear, right? Like we have that fear. We get an email that someone's mean to us or something, and we are just like, oh, I'm going to die. And it's that fight or flight, just instinctual. And now it's for the most basic things that happen all the time, when really genuinely just walking around in our lives, especially as an American human, like we're not coming across things that are just going to like kill us day in and day out, right? We don't have to worry about that. So when we feel that fear of, oh no, like what if it doesn't work out or blah, blah, blah. It's like, but what if it does? What if it's the best thing you've ever done? And what if it doesn't work out? And now you know, and now you're not thinking about it nonstop day in and day out for however long, and know that you're just genuinely safe. Like you're safe. You're going to be okay. Try the thing. You don't have to quit your job and go ahead and full head speed into it. You can ease your way there. You know, I always am like, be emotionally regulated while you're doing the thing. So if you want to start a business and you're starting from zero, keep your job, build it in the off hours. It takes time and obviously, you know, like it's tiring, but like that's what if you don't want to just leap, then you can take steps there. We don't have to go all in. Like there's such a, you know, go all in, but like really like start moving towards it. Like actually take action rather than just thinking about it or talking about it, because you're going to hate yourself for not doing it.
And for not trying it. Right?
Yeah. And then you're always going to wish you had done it sooner. Yeah. Or that you just knew sooner. Oh, I wish I knew that this wasn't for me. And I didn't spend 5 years lamenting over whether I should or shouldn't try this thing. Yeah. Oh, I don't like it. It sucks. Okay, cool. Now I know. I can move on and do something else, you know?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Well, thank you so much for
Yes, thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Thanks, guys. If you need to find me, chrystalrose.com or the Embodied Baddie is my Instagram.
Yeah. Make sure you follow her for sure.
XTALROSE.
Yeah, Chrystal Rose is my 10,000 Insta that we're, you know, but if you want to actually follow my coaching stuff, it's the Embodied Baddie.
There you go. Right there. Cool. Awesome.
I'm just going to end it on this note. It makes me sad that she knows your social media handles more than ours. So she knows your stuff way better than ours. So anyways, it was good to finally bring this issue to the table, Chrystal. So I appreciate you being willing to come here and share your co-host with me.
I'm glad we worked it out.
Yeah. It felt good. I think it felt good. So, but yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and everything that you're doing.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable podcast.